So we're talking here about caloric duration in the bloodstream, right? Fast food versus slow food. Oil and white flour are examples of fast food, and that's why sugar and white flour and oil are addicting. That's why people like fried foods. You want to really get them addicted, fry the sugar and white flour in oil. Give them a donut. That's the most deadly cancer-causing substance in the world is donuts. Fried white flour and sugar. They go to these fairs and they're serving fried butter. They take butter and they dip it in cornmeal and they deep fry it. Wow. And then you go over and get the cocaine. The cotton cocaine. Anyway, and then these fast foods contain carcinogens. And when you cook meats, when you go to a fast food restaurant and eat meats, it's not boiled in water. They're grilling it or frying it or barbecuing it. And when you grill, fry, barbecue, and cook things under high heat, you create heterocyclic amines and nitrosamino compounds that are carcinogenic substances that the World Health Organization classifies as a class 1 carcinogen. These foods aren't a class 2 carcinogen like the potassium bromate in bread. They're a class 1 carcinogen, which means it's not a suspected carcinogen, it's a definitive carcinogen, a definite carcinogen in the same class as asbestos and cigarette smoking. And people are popping these foods in their body. They're eating them all the time, up and down the road, eating fried chicken and and all these things that are carcinogenic, burgers and everything else. And you have arsenic, BPA. You have in the chicken, you have those flame retardant chemicals right in there. Are they adding the flame retardant chemicals to the chicken? Not really, but they're putting the bedding for the chicken in flame retardant chemicals they peck at. And you eat chicken, you're getting those flame retardant chemicals. They did a study recently on kids in California, children who had 100 times the level of flame retardant chemicals in their bloodstream that were acceptable because of the consumption of fast food, and they identified animal products predominantly as the major source. In other words, we build up toxins in our bloodstream, and there are different types of toxins we build up. There are endogenous toxins and there are exogenous toxins. The exogenous toxin, the word exogenous means it comes from the outside world, like the stuff they added to the fast food, like the red dye number 2 and all the potassium bromate, all the toxins you're eating in the fast, all the chemicals and all the colorings and the food stabilizers and the flavorings are all toxins you're adding to your body. But then the body makes toxins, the metabolic waste produced by the body, like free radicals and AGEs, advanced glycation end products, and other products that are toxins your own body makes as the result of eating fast food. So when you eat too much calories and too much sugar and too much fried food or too much baked foods, when you eat toasted bread and pretzels and hard crusts and fried cereals and baked cereals, the baking of carbohydrates, the cooking of carbohydrates to harden them and make them crispy at high temperature forms acrylamides and advanced glycation end products, and the combination of those glycation end products and sugar raises the glycation of human tissue. On your cells, you develop these advanced glycation end products on your own tissues. They stick to the cells. And in diabetics, because they have run high sugars, they build up advanced glycation end products even faster than normal than other people who are non-diabetic. And that's why the buildup of advanced glycation end products in diabetics are responsible for the diabetics becoming blind, having neurologic deficits to their feet and having their legs cut off and getting gangrene or getting kidney failure. Those kidney failure, the loss of kidney function, is based on the buildup of the advanced glycation end products. But I'm telling you right now, they build up in people who are not diabetic as well from the consumption of baked goods and sweets and honey and maple syrup and sweeteners and all the pizza and all the garbage that you guys are eating. I'm saying you guys are eating because I watched you eat it last night. The foods with the strongest link to cancer, of course, are processed meats and barbecue, dairy products, because dairy raise IGF-1 more than, let's say, chicken or shrimp or lizards or frogs or snakes would. If you were really out there eating paleo, you wouldn't be, catching a bull or a cow. It wouldn't be. You'd be looking for lizards and snakes and frogs and things and worms and things, right? Maybe wildebeests. That was a joke. But the point is, you'd be probably having some smaller animals and eating the skin and the bones and the gristle and the whole thing, like a dog or a cat would. But because of our teeth structure and obviously our ability to see color, we're really primates, and primates usually eat a diet that's mostly vegetation, especially all primates eat colorful vegetation, a lot of green vegetables, like a gorilla, like a chimpanzee. They all eat a lot of green vegetables. What I'm saying right now is that whether you like it or not, your body, your genetics is dependent on vegetables, are dependent on nutrients that come from green vegetables. If you don't like green vegetables, tough. Your body's still dependent on them. You better live close to a hospital if you don't like them. But the point is, we like what we get used to eating. Your parents trained you not to like them by not feeding them to you. I trained my kids to like them. My kids' favorite food is unbelievable. Their favorite food is kale, is California cream kale. It's like their favorite thing they could possibly eat, practically. They're rushing home to get some like kale. It's amazing. Come home from, My son, when he was a kid, I would say, get that broccoli, get that kale away from that kid. He's getting too strong. Can't have him stronger than me. He'd give me a shove, and I'd stumble back over the couch. I'd do a backflip. Get him away from me. Keep that kale away from him. He'd wake up in the morning. He'd go, Mom, give me broccoli. I got to get Dad. Give me the broccoli. Give me the broccoli. I got to get him. And of course, the white foods, white flour, sugar, white rice. I always say the whiter the bread, the sooner you're dead, right? Of course, these foods, these white foods, the same thing. When you eat in the bagel or the pizza, it's the same thing as if you had a marshmallow or a candy corn or just take a sugar. Why don't you just take, instead of that pizza, why don't they just serve you just sugar right out of a spoon? That would have been just as enjoyable and just as healthy.